so sorry. I was so excited to get to you to talk about something that you obviously are sick of talking about, perhaps. I forgot the lead block. In any case, Utah for our lead block.
Now it's time for, say it with me, the lead block.
Lead block.
Nice. Yeah.
That is being about as good of a teammate as somebody could be. Thank you. All right, Tom,
Aditi,
what are we thinking? Will there be a miracle, and will we see Aaron Rodgers on that field behind you?
Aditi, barring some kind of a surprise development in the coming hours, Aaron Rodgers not expected to report here to the mandatory minicamp that begins today. One person with knowledge of the situation told me last night there is no change in Rodgers' status. That means that the NFL MVP is now officially set to become a holdout. But this has always been a symbolic checkpoint in this ongoing saga. The Packers can choose to fine Rodgers upwards of $93,000 if he misses the entire minicamp, but he's already forfeited a $500,000 workout bonus by not showing up to OTAs. The real pressure point continues to be the start of training camp in late July. At that point, the financial penalties if Rodgers stays away also increase. Mandatory daily fines of $50,000 for each day he misses, and the Packers could pursue millions and millions of dollars in bonus money. Now, the Packers hope it doesn't come to that. I was told again last night they continue to work on this. They want Rodgers back in the fold. But for the next 3 days, they get a longer look at their potential quarterback of the future in Jordan Love. Now, this is a player who still has not taken a preseason snap in the NFL. And speaking to people here, there definitely are still some inconsistencies with Love, but he is a lot cleaner mechanically than he was a year ago. He's not dropping the ball down as much in terms of his release, and as he's gotten to know this offense a lot better, his rhythm and footwork have improved as well. They'll be throwing to some better receivers starting today, too. All the Packers' top receivers who missed OTAs expected to be here, including Devontae Adams. Aditi?
Tom, thank you so much for that and for, of course, bailing me out. We will see you again in just a little bit. Now, gentlemen, I'll take it from Tom and turn it to all of you. As we have heard, for the time being, the Packers are without the reigning MVP. So now, does Aaron Rodgers' absence open the door in the NFC North? Peter?
Yes, it does. And please work on the Taylor Swift ukulele or whatever else you're doing out there with Miles Teller in Hawaii, because the other three teams are playing football and they're ready to go. I look at one team specifically. Hey, Mike Zimmer, Kirk Cousins, this might be the year. This might be the year that the Vikings get over the hump and the Vikings really make a run. If Rodgers isn't on the field, the Vikings go into the season as the favorites in the NFC North. It is that much of a drop-off from Rodgers to Love. And I think with the Vikings, look what they added. Of course, you get the tackle in Darisaw, but the veteran presence of Tomlinson, who was a captain for the Giants, Patrick Peterson, who was an NFL top 100 players of all time player on the list that we did last year. And of course, Xavier Woods and Mackenzie Alexander have played good football. But I look at this offense. Clint Kubiak is now the new offensive coordinator. It's Gary Kubiak's son. And Clint comes out here and he's got Dalvin Cook behind him, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Irv Smith Jr., who with Kyle Rudolph now in New York, is expected to maybe play like Irv Smith Jr. is hoped to be as an NFL player when they drafted him out of Alabama a few years back. I think this Vikings team is not being discussed at all. And I look at Zimmer and Cousins. If not now, when? Yes, they beat the Saints in that big playoff game. And yes, they've had success in the league together. And yes, Cousins has won some primetime games after years of that plaguing him. But if Rodgers wants to be out with Shailene Woodley and Miles Teller and they want to be on Instagram doing the Hawaii thing and doing karaoke, Kirk Cousins and Mike Zimmer want to be ready to go and on the gridiron. I think the Vikings, they suddenly become the favorites in the NFC North. Every day that Rodgers isn't there in that building, that's another day that the Vikings' confidence and their expectations should be rising.
Yeah, I don't think the door is slightly opened up. Like, I think it is kicked open. I think it is when they do those raids and they swing that thing into it to bash it open like that. I think it is that open. And I think it is amazing, Peter, I'll pick up where you left off, that the future of the NFC North lies on the right arm of this man. There he is, your champion, the one who was chosen with the zinc oxide that he got out of his fanny pack and probably some croquis behind his sunglasses, that's the guy. That's suddenly the best, most experienced quarterback, I think. But there's a catch here. It's a catch because Minnesota has had some success against the Packers, but look at Kirk Cousins against the Bears as a Viking. Not only a whole bunch of losses, some high-profile losses, a win and in the playoffs loss, bad losses. Khalil Mack peels them off the turf every time they play. Kirk Cousins, who, by the way, is a Chicago native from Barrington, Illinois, does not play well against the Bears. They just destroy him, and they do everything to Cousins that they can't do to Rodgers. So I don't think this thing is so easy as Rodgers is gone. Let's pick this team that seems to be the second best because they struggle against a team that is now changing their quarterback. It is open, but I'm not so sure the Vikings are just going to walk through it, Nate.
Yeah, I feel you, Kyle. I'm right there with you. It's not just the front, it's the side, the back, and garage door. Every single window is open. And Kirk Cousins and his squad is standing across the street like the wet bandits thinking, oh, we're going to break into this house. Yeah, it's time. Kirk Cousins, this is your life. Out of nowhere, this 8 o'clock segment turned into Kirk Cousins. Let's see what you can do this season. You've talked about the playmakers. You've talked about the skill players, talked about the coaching staff. I'll finish it off by talking about something I love to talk about on the show. He's entering the first year of a 2-year, $66 million contract extension. That's big money. And you know what comes with big money? Big expectations. Now, if indeed Aaron Rodgers isn't going to come back to the Packers, what excuse does he have? He doesn't have an excuse. Kirk Cousins, you need to win, not just your division, not just some primetime games, and not a playoff game. You have everything you need to win a Super Bowl. And because I played for half the teams in the NFL, when you do, I will gladly put my Vikings jersey back on and celebrate like I called it.
Well, I'm with you guys here, right? Didn't Peter tell us an hour ago that we absolutely had to panic over a Packers team that didn't have Aaron Rodgers? So, of course, the door is open. But I would counsel you this, since I'm not the hugest Kirk Cousins believer, don't forget about the Chicago Bears. They've very quietly done something with their defense here. There's a new defensive coordinator in Sean Desai. There are Pro Bowl level difference makers all over this defense. And we just talked about Justin Fields. I'll tell you this, I do expect Andy Dalton to start at quarterback as the season starts. Really? I saw Bears offensive coordinator Bill Lazor at Justin Fields' pro day. He was very excited about Dalton, but I also won't be surprised if Fields takes over. And we heard his little competitive juices. He's already thinking about the Packers. So if that door remains open, don't be surprised if it's the Bears that are actually sneaking in there.
Nice. Wait, Aditi, hold on a sec. Why do you think that Dalton will start? Because a lot of people think that if Fields will be too good, he'll get right out there. You think Andy Dalton comes out week 1 for the Bears?
I think that there's a good. First of all, who's their week 1 opponent? Do you want Aaron Donald eating Justin Fields the first time he steps on an NFL playing field?
Probably not, no.
That's a valid point, Didi.
So I think it's a good opportunity. You've got a veteran. You can grow. Let's go back to Aaron Rodgers sitting behind Brett Favre. There's this urgency to start people right away, and I do think that the Bears will be willing to give Justin Fields a little ramp up, ease in process. Let's see what Andy Dalton can do. He's very motivated. Lazor has built an offense that really works with what Andy Dalton does well. They go back to their days in Cincinnati together, and hey, if Andy Dalton's not cutting it, then Justin Fields is right there. I think a little time to green and season is never a bad thing.
Aditi, I love your insight because you're right. Bill Lazor was the offensive coordinator in Cincinnati with Andy Dalton. They speak the same language. They have the same verbiage. My counter to that is that Nick Foles knew the whole offense from his time with Nagy and his time with John DeFilippo and his time with Bill Lazor. And even so, it was Mitch Trubisky week 1. Real quick. Again, this is all stuff for the Packers to be watching today. I know Tom Pelissero is on site, but I would imagine someone in that building is watching Good Morning Football as everyone files into the facility for what is considered mandatory practice, and their star player has decided to not be there because of his own discord with the team. This is all stuff and all fodder for the coaching staff. If Matt LaFleur wants to put this on a tape somewhere, we're already canceling you guys out, Packers. Jordan Love, I don't think there's many believers. Let's know.
I feel like this is the second time that Peter has done this. There must be some sort of handshake deal going on, right? All right, gentlemen.
Stir in the pot.
Thank you very much, obviously. Now let's